listening to Off the Mic with Boom.
Finally this week, if you like to read, especially fantasy or sci-fi books, and would like to support a local author, Dylan Black has just the person.
Today, we are joined by the award-winning author, Michel Weatherall, and he joins us here in the studio. Hello, Michel. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
You're up for a Faces Magazine award.
I am.
Pretty cool. Male Author of the Year.
That's right.
How does it feel?
It feels fantastic. It's a little bit humbling, actually, when I look at some of the people listed in the overall, but it's cool.
And now tell us about yourself, okay? So you're Ottawa, born and raised?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how long have you been an author for at this point?
I've been doing it the way I am currently for about 2.5, 3 years, but it's a hard question to answer because the first book I wrote was actually written about 25 years ago. Okay. And it just got parked in the desk drawer, and it was only recently that I decided to publish it and run with the rest of the series.
So what made you decide to come back to it 25 years later, roughly?
I don't know. I get asked that a lot. Ultimately, I think it was my daughter, because my daughter was, my background is in print, and I've been in printing for over 30 years, and she was the one that said, why don't you just do it yourself? This is what you do. This is exactly what you do. Yeah. And, you know, the wisdom of children, right? Yeah, why not? Let's run with this.
Okay, well, we're glad you did. So you've got, now it's the Refuse Chronicles?
That's the latest and the last of that series, yeah.
Okay, okay. So explain to us what these chronicles or what this series is all about.
The whole series, it's built in a Lovecraftian world. You don't need to know H.P. Lovecraft's work, but it is like a cosmic horror by nature. I hesitate to say horror because often today in literature and movies, horror is splatter, gore, shock. Mm-hmm. I think horror needs to be more cerebral. I think Hitchcock had the right idea. It's not what you see that should scare you, it's what you don't see.
It's what you think about.
Exactly. Your imagination can paint a picture much worse than anything that can be described.
Okay. Now, when did the first one come out? So sorry, so there's 4 in total?
There's 4 in total.
Okay, and the first one came out?
The original one was released in 2015. And then the sequel to it, The Hunt Symbiosis, was half written at that time. I finished the latter half of it and published it early 2016. And then the third, it was originally meant to be 3 books only, a trilogy. The third was supposed to be the last one, Necropolis. It took about 13 months to write, and that was out in early 2017. And what ended up happening with what became the fourth and final, The Refuse Chronicles, was I got up, because the story arc of the trilogy is so large, there's a lot of secondary and incidental characters that we never find out what happens to them. Mm-hmm. I got lots of emails from fans. Everybody had their favorite secondary character. What happened to so-and-so? What happened to so-and-so? Mm-hmm. And the idea for the Refuse Chronicles was almost like vignettes. The final product are 19 either novelettes or short stories. They're each freestanding, but they do all tie in together to make one whole novel, and then it wraps up the entire series. It's all finished at the end of this one.
Is it a challenge being an independent author in the city here, in Canada in general?
It is and it isn't in a way. It's funny how recently over Christmas I had a conversation with, on a different topic. I had been asked to submit an essay, a theological essay in Thomas J. Ord's. He's an American theologian's book on controlling love. That went out in August. And then it was over the Christmas holidays. We had friends over, and we were talking about that. And it's not a long essay; it's about 1,000 words. You could sit there in one reading and discuss it. And one of the things they had said was, "Wow, you finally legitimately got published." And there was no malice in the comment, but I sat there and kind of was thinking, legitimately, like, what do you mean by that? It's an odd statement. Yeah. And I've kind of stumbled across that. I've done about 50 book signings over the last 2.5 years, and you don't see it as pronounced, but there's this assumption that an indie author is a plan B, a backup plan. It's almost like you had attempted to get a manuscript traditionally published and failed and then went with self-publishing. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is quite the opposite, is that I never even entertained doing that, not from the get-go. It was just always it went with doing it myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're a busy guy. I see you all over social media, and you have a bunch of events coming up as well. Can you highlight some of them?
I can. And on February the 11th, I'm going to be at and I always trip this one up because it's a mouthful. Yeah. The Goddess of Love Valentine Psychic and Craft Fair. Hey, I got it. Wow. It's going to be at the Bronson Center, 211 Bronson Avenue, and it's from noon to 3. I believe it's at noon to 3. I'm going to be there selling and promoting my books. After that, on the next weekend, on February the 17th, I'm going to be at Chapters in Canada, doing a book signing in the Centrium Mall. And then on the 24th, I'm going to be in Coles Billings Bridge doing the same thing again.
And maybe at that point you'll have that award as well for
it'd be
Male
interesting
Author
to
of
see.
the Year, because those will be handed out at the end of January, Faces Magazine. Quickly, can you just tell us about your upcoming, what you're working on?
I'm working right now on, it's going to be called Naro's Sojourning, and it's set in 1850, and it follows the main character as a Maori chieftain or warrior, and it's a nautical adventure in the Pacific. I always liked Edgar Allan Poe's The Narrative of Gordon Arthur Pym of Nantucket, but it was a novelette he never finished. And it was just always the adventure of going from all these different exotic islands. And I liked that idea with it. And I don't want to say too much of the next upcoming one, but that's the premise of it right now. I'm about 25,000 words into it, and we'll see where we go.
What are you looking at a release date at this point, or is it
it's way
early?
too early.
All right, man. How do we get in touch with you?
Your best bet for the website is I'm on all the social medias. Just look up my name, Michel Weatherall. For the website, your best bet is to Google my name and the word Wix, W-I-X, and you'll hit the website right away.
And that's where we can find all the books.
Absolutely.
And more about Michel Weatherall. Thank you so much for being here today, and best of luck with everything ahead.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. I'm Dylan Black.